welcome you on behalf of Telfed to this evening here tonight, which is really a journey to another town, far removed from here, and in fact into another time. Many of you here tonight probably do not hail from specifically Plungyan, but most of you hail from that part of the world known as the Pale of the Settlement, or Lithuania and Latvia. Most of you, I would think, from Lithuania. Most interesting, I think, over the last 10 years, increasingly, because our period in South Africa has really been much of a sojourn. We're only there for maybe 2, 3, 4 generations, most of us. While in Lithuania, we were there for hundreds of years. And it's quite interesting to know what part of our communal DNA is part South African and part Lithuanian. And so over the last 10, 20 years, more and more South Africans have been visiting Lithuania. I myself went in...
Hi, sorry.
Come, Ursel.
I'm looking for 2 places.
Yes.
Sorry.
Hi. I myself went back in 1992. It was the time really of the crumbling of the Soviet so-called empire, or the early days. But increasingly over the last 2 decades, more and more South Africans have been revisiting or visiting their past. Those of us that have gone over there, we found it fascinating, we found it interesting, we've collected photographs and so on and so forth. But very, very few have done what Glenda and what Abel Levitt have done. They've done more than just go back to Lithuania. In fact, when I asked them earlier today how many times they'd actually visited Lithuania, Glenda said she's actually forgotten, and that over the last 30 years, she says at least 20 times. So they are not just only experts on the area, but they've done more, because they haven't just simply visited the area. They've enriched their lives by going there and going repeatedly, and what they've effectively done over there. And therefore, and you'll see tonight, after our presentation, their presentation here tonight, which is roughly about an hour 20, whatever, we'll go upstairs for coffee and refreshments, and there'll be an exhibition. There's an exhibition up there which I'll explain to you about. But that will also indicate to you, this exhibition, that when they go to Lithuania, it's not only about revisiting the past, it's also about investing in the future. And that will become apparent after the presentation and as well as the exhibition. So without further ado, you've paid for your tickets, we're going on a journey, and I welcome our guides for this evening, Glenda and Abel Levitt. Thank you.
Thank you. The subject of our presentation is the story of the 2 of us, Glenda and Abel, a journey of discovery. Who the Jews of Plungyan, or Plunga, were, where and how they lived, and how we have tried to honor their memory. It is the story of how and why Glenda and I embarked on this journey, where we are now, and what our plans and hope for the future are. It is how we made our first visit to the town of Plunga in western Lithuania, and how since then we have made many visits, trying to go there at least once every year. My father, Louis Levitt, was born in Plungyan and emigrated to South Africa in 1913 at the age of 25. He came to that metropolis in the Western Cape, Clava, a small village 180 miles from Cape Town. He eventually moved to Cape Town. My mother, herself a Litvak, born in Telfed, imbued in me the love of and the interest in the Jewish shtetl and its rich life. After Lithuania gained independence from the Soviet Union in 1992, Jews from around the world started trickling to the land of their birth, or the land of the birth of their parents and grandparents, to see what, if anything, remained of Jewish life. 94% of Lithuanian Jewry had been murdered in the period of history that we now know as the Shoah, the Holocaust. Our youngest child, Adam, had been playing rugby in the Israel national side when he arrived home one day to show us the fixture list for the 1998 season. Israel played amongst the minnows of the sport against countries like Switzerland and Norway and Moldova. And that fixture list also showed us 2 games in the Baltics, one in Riga, the capital of Latvia, and the other in Vilnius, Vilna as we knew it. Glenda and I immediately made plans to go as camp followers to watch these games, determined to wave the biggest Magen David flag that the Lithuanians had ever seen from the stand at the stadium in Vilna. We consulted with David Kaplan, who lives in Kwasaba, together with us. He told us about his visit a year or 2 before with Mendel Kaplan and family, and about the last remaining Jew living in Plungyan, where in 1939 about 2,500 Jews lived. Present-day Plunga is a town of about 25,000 residents. From David, we had the name and telephone number of that iconic Jew, Yakovus Bunker, in Plungyan. David told us that Bunker spoke no English, that he spoke Lithuanian, Russian, and Yiddish. With some trepidation, I called Yakovus, Yossel Bunker, not knowing if my very limited Yiddish would enable me to make myself understood or to understand. I gave him my name and asked if we could visit. Bunker replied, "What did you say the name was? Levitt? Wait a moment while I look in my little book." A pause. "Yes, I have the name of the Levitts who were killed, Nota and Yisrael, Fega and Chena. Yes, come to visit me. You don't need a guide. My son is a journalist and he speaks English." Delighted at the ease with which